Hey y'all, Joe here, Southern Coast of Cooking, coming at you to make a video I've been wanting to make for a while here. This is a pellet grill video. Basically what we're talking about, we're going to talk about the features on a pellet grill, building the perfect pellet grill, and some things on your current pellet cooker or your grill that you might want to change. And another thing is just the general purpose of the pellet cooker. You know, stuff like that a lot of people just don't talk about. I guess, a good place to start off would be, basically a pellet cooker or a pellet grill or smoker or whatever you want to call it, is supposed to be a set it and forget it type thing that gives you somewhat of the same flavor that you would get on a normal log burning grill or pit or something like that. I would say a similar flavor. It is going to be a lighter smoke flavor, but in most of your commercial applications that you'll find these days, and a lot of your restaurants, your competition, they are using pellet cookers. And one of the main reasons they're using the pellet cookers, sorry y'all, it's like 100 degrees out here, is they're so consistent because you're taking little tiny wood pellets, basically little tiny logs, and you're burning them in a much more controlled fashion than you would just throwing a bunch of logs in a big fire. So a small fire controlled with the amount of pellets that are put in by the auger on the pellet cooker, and then controlled by fans that bring in the oxygen to control that fire or bring it down or bring it up, whatever you need to do. And you've got a thermocoupler, a computer in there that basically controls what the fans are doing, how many pellets the auger is putting in, all that sort of thing. With that out of the way, you get a lot of people looking for the do-all grill or pellet cooker. They want something that can smoke low and slow, almost cold smoke on them, and something that can sear really, really high heat on. I don't know if you ever heard the phrase, jack of all trades, but a master of none. And that can be done. There's a bunch of cookers out there, even this one behind me, the Y640 Yoder smoker. That's my example because that's the cooker that I use here on my channel as of now. I want to try some different ones, but like I said, these things take time. The reason I'm doing this video, one thing is I've had several manufacturers reach out to me and wanting to know, what I like about my pellet cooker or other pellet cookers out there and what fans are saying. And I've gone on Facebook to my Facebook page and had a lot of you chime in and talk about, here's what I'd like to see in a pellet cooker, or here's what I like, or here's the pellet cooker that I think is, the perfect pellet cooker. I don't think any of them can be perfect, but we can try, right? For instance, this Yoder smoker back here, I mean, this is probably about the closest you're going to get, the way it's designed, I'll go over that in more detail, to a stick burner, okay? Yoder smokers, they start out making a lot of stick burners, and they do that very, very well. They do pellet smokers very, very well. Obviously, I wouldn't be using one, but, there's others out there that may act, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but act more like an oven as far as temperature, okay, can be more precise. Let's start out there. Let's start out talking about temperature control, target temperature, and temperature range, okay? On a pellet cooker, the biggest range I've seen just about is from 180 degrees on the cool end, or the lower end, to 700 degrees on the high end, okay? That's a big spread right there. And that's on about a $5,000 cooker, y'all. That's the specs off of, I believe, the Memphis Elite. Memphis makes a fantastic cooker. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But anyway, so, I mean, that's something that you could go all the way from 180 to do low and slow, around to 200, to all the way to 700 to get a hot sear. Now, this Yoder smoker back here, let's say, I think it'll get up to about 600 degrees, so it's no slouch either. With that being said, when you hear that span, a lot of people think, well, I'm going to turn it up my whole 640 cubic inches or whatever, my whole grill is going to turn into this just searing hot thing. That's not necessarily the case, okay? More on that in a minute. try to stay on task here with these topics, okay? So we're talking about temperature range. 180 to 700 degrees is the ideal, okay, across the boards on a pellet cooker. Temperature fluctuation. All right, it's a wood fire controlled by wind and adding fuel. So it's not going to be 100% constant. Look, you don't believe me? Even go in your oven, okay? Take a ThermalWorks, smoke or something like that, or whatever Maverick Pro you got. Put that in your oven. Turn your oven on to 180 degrees, 200. If it'll go that low, and you watch the curvature and see how it goes. What these cookers do is they're set, and I'm not a big mathematical guy. I know there's algorithms or whatever, to keep it in a certain range, okay? So when I first started cooking on the pellet cookers, I'd stick a ThermalPro or something like that, my thermometer in there to get the ambient temperature, and I would freak out because I'm going from 225 up to 250 or 275 sometimes, or down to 180. I've had different cookers as well. The bottom line is the average temperature, if you look at it, throughout that graph, it keeps it the same, but it's got to adjust. It's got to add more wood to the fire. It's got to add more oxygen, stuff like that. I quit looking at ambient temperature. I really did, except for the temperature I set the dial to. Now, you can tell if your thermocoupler's gone bad or something. The way I tell if the grill won't get hot, or either it gets blazing hot, so you'll know. But if it's not doing that, if it's going up 25 degrees or something like that, and some people freak out. Look, we're not baking souffles in here. I don't know. Maybe on some you can, but I mean, that kind of temperature in barbecue is not going to hurt you, okay? And it's just a couple of minutes. It's doing its thing. I'm telling you, if you put one in your stick burner or something like that and just see what happens. But anyway, that's a whole different story. I don't think, you want to keep something as constant as possible, but that's not huge. The main thing, y'all, is the indirect heat. For me, you want to have a good heat deflector, or whatever people call them, flavorizers, whatever. All right, let me explain what that is. Like on a gas grill, you know how you have your burner, then you have that little triangle thing right on top. And basically what that does, it keeps the flame from directly hitting the food up top. Well, on a pellet cooker, you've got your firebox down here on the side or something, and then you've got a deflector that goes in. It's usually a removable piece, and it basically keeps that fire down there indirect from the food. And that's what you want. You want that good indirect heat, also coupled with a good fan system that creates that convection in there, where the heat's wrapping around their food. Let me tell you another thing about heat wrapping around the food and people freaking out about temperature. When you take a big old cold hunk of meat, let's say a chuck, a big, a brisket, okay, something like that. It's been in your refrigerator, it's been sitting overnight with your rub and everything. You put in there, there's a cloud of cold air that's going around that, at least for the first little while. So you put your ambient temperature thing right by that brisket, and you're taking ambient. Well, that coldness is coming out of that brisket, leaching out of there, so it's messing with your temperature. So, that's why a lot of people are freaking out. They put their food on there and the temperature goes crazy. Well, you've got that little bit of cloud or what I call it, the cloud, or the area of cold air around the meat. So don't freak out about that so much. But anyway, that's what I'm saying. You want your indirect heat. That way, with the convection, it can cook all around the foods. You don't have to worry about flipping. That's one way you tell a really good high-end pellet cooker from one of the lower ends is you're not having to flip stuff. You're not worried about stuff really burning on the bottom. Now, with that being said, we talked about temperature, basically temperature range, ambient temperature, stuff like that. Let's talk about materials, okay? That has a lot to do, and we'll talk about that later on in the video, with your price point. Okay, so your price point on one of these cookers could be anywhere from about $499 all the way to $5,000 or $6,000. Okay, so depending on that, a lot of that is your materials used. For instance, this big Yoda back here, and this thing's steel right there. I mean, it's just built like a ship, battleship or something. It's built like they're stick burners. It's great. I love it. In Memphis, keep going back to Memphis, this mother, it is built out of 403 stainless steel, or 430, I can't remember what it is, but it's thick, and I've handled them at Grills Mississippi, our local grill store. And my gosh, it's heavy, it's thick, it's great too. Now, some people don't like stainless steel, some people do. That brings us on to another topic, the finish, okay? When you don't have stainless steel, when you've got steel like this, you've got to paint it, you've got to coat it or something. Not trying to beat up on the odor, but that is one issue they've had, is with paint flaking off, okay? I touch mine up about once every 6 months. Not a big deal to me. They provide me a can of spray paint or whatever, and okay, you know, and I've talked to a bunch of guys in the industry, in the grill industry, not just pellets, but all around. All of them say that on grills, on barbecue pits, paint flaking is a big issue because you're dealing with metals expanding and contracting and stuff like that. Now, with that being said, if you go to the all stainless one, you don't have that issue. But the deal about stainless steel, you've got to get such thick stainless steel to hold the heat in like these. So your price is going on up there, okay? Now you've got what I call the beer can smokers, and I'm not going to throw a name out there, but you know, some of the really lower end ones, they're built out of thin, you know, pipe metal or whatever, and they've got some paint sprayed on them like an epoxy, and you know, heck, the paint's almost as thick as the metal, and so you know, whatever, but they're not going to hold in that heat like, or be as efficient as one of these big cookers here. So yeah, you've got materials used, stainless steel or heavy steel like that. Either way you want to go, just remember, if you're using heavy steel, you got to think about paint. If you're using the stainless steel like the Memphis, the Cook Shacks, more of the commercial style, the competition cookers, these are big competition cookers too. Those guys use a heavy stainless steel. So you know, that's one thing. Then you've got your racks, you know, your racks, stainless steel racks. Some of them use wire racks. I imagine somebody out there is using wooden, you know, for setting stuff on. Let's talk a little bit about pellet, you know, where your pellets are going. On this particular model, this one's got where the controller is over here, it's got a pellet hopper on top. You know, it holds about a bag of pellets or so, you know, probably about 20 pounds of pellets. I don't know, don't quote me on that, but it's a good size hopper. And it's got the control unit built right in, okay? Now, that's good. I have seen a lot of grills now who are putting the hoppers on the back of the grill, a long linear hopper. Some of them even have where you can put 2 different kinds of pellets in there. That's fine too, whatever. However you want to put you use your real estate of your grill. Remember, it's going to fit somewhere. So that's neat. Now, the controller. Let's talk about your control and your interface over here. With the other smokers, it's pretty dang simple. I'm going to zoom y'all in a little bit so you can see your controller. I mean, you've got a increase and decrease heat button. You've got a start, and you've got on off, and the prime. And that's basically it. You hardly ever use the prime, but you know, you use the on off and the decrease and that. But the display on that cooker is, you know, like a red, you know, like an alarm clock or something. It lights up red, which is fine. Shows the numbers, you know, everything's made out of an 8 somehow. It's a red display, red against a black background. The problem is in the sun, the middle of the day like this, I can barely see it. So that is something I would change on this pit. Let me show you what I would go with. I'd go with something as simple as this. See, like on my little Thermoworks smoke, I'll turn it on. Look, I don't know if y'all can see that. Simple. Hopefully y'all can see that on camera. It's got just that, I guess it's the LCD or whatever, you know, that just tan back with the black. And you can see this anytime in any kind of daylight. And of course at night, you hit your light button, it's got the Indiglow or whatever backlight. To me, that would be super simple fix. Do something like that. That's what I would like to see. I guess you could do a color LCD or something like that, but then you're talking more money, okay? And is that really worth it to you, you know? So, your gauge. You know, some people have totally analog. They have just a knob, you know, but still, at some point, you're going to have to show. You want to show, this one just shows the ambient temperature, basically, and then it'll flash off of that. It'll show a set, and it gives a little bar showing up and down. That's cool. Basically, what I need to know is my ambient temperature. I'd like to see what it's set at. I'd like a couple of different numbers displayed. Probably ambient, what it's set at, And you know what? Some people want a probe built into the grill. Okay, I know some of the higher end ones, or some of the lower end ones, even have a probe or two built in the grill. That has its pros and cons. Okay, I don't think you can beat a ThermoWorks product hardly for a probe. I mean, they are high dollar, but they're super good. And if something happens to your probe, you can always get a new one. Now, I don't know about if your probe was built in. I want it somehow where I could detach the wires and change out the probe in case it got damaged, you know. So that is an extra little something. Tell you what we'll do now. We're going to kind of break this grill down. We're going to talk about, you know, the different parts of the grill, how they act, what they do, and things that someone might change or that I really love about this cooker. Like I said, I'm not picking on the Yoda or saying this is the best one. It's just what I've got. It's what I'm going off of, okay? Let me get my gloves on. I'll come right back to y'all. First off, y'all, let's take a little look at this hopper here, okay, on the side. Hopefully y'all can see down in there. It's got the pellets. Very important design deal with the hoppers here. I know y'all can't see now. Hold on. Okay. Make sure that you get something with a hopper where the walls are slanted down like that. Because sometimes on some of the cheaper model grills, the older ones I've seen, it'll suck a hole right down there with your pellets, and all your other pellets will be sitting up here on the side, and your grill will go dry, is what I call it. And your fire goes out, and it's a big mess to get it reprimed and everything. So you want something with slanted walls where, you know, the last of the pellets, everything's going to go down to the auger. Again, some people put these hoppers on the back. Another thing a lot of people have told me they'd like to see, and it is on some cookers, is a little door back here behind where you could open this up and actually drop those pellets out of here without scooping them all out of the top. If you wanted to change pellets in the middle of a cook, or you're putting your grill up for long-term storage and you don't want pellets sitting there in the hopper. Okay, this is the inside of my cooker. As soon as you open it up, first off, this is an optional second shelf accessory here. This second shelf is built out of expanded metal. I'm not a huge fan of expanded metal just for the simple reason that it rusts easily and it's hard to keep clean. I very rarely use this. If it was like the bottom grill, I'd probably use a little bit more, made of the same material. Another thing I would like probably have gone with a half. I make this in a half shelf configuration. That way it's easier to get to your bottom stuff, okay? So just that's something to think about. This slides out very easily though. I'll give that to them. And it's great, you know, when you got a lot of stuff on here cooking, but me shooting videos and stuff like that kind of tends to get in the way, okay? Hopefully y'all can see down there on the bottom what I'm talking about. We've got the stainless steel, okay, grill grates, or not grill grates. These are the I don't know what you want to call these. Just the griddle that you set stuff on, okay? Your grates. Grill grates is a brand name of something that you can put in here. All y'all know about grill grates, okay? So anyway, here's something I'm going to show you. These come out in little sections just like this. These are stainless steel, heavy duty. Huge. I love these, okay? These to me is the best material to make these out of, and make them this size. That way you can take them out, you can clean. I clean mine up with a blowtorch, put them in the dishwasher and clean these things up. And they're small. You can get them, you know, you can clean one or two of them. This is awesome. Memphis Grills uses the same thing. Theirs are even heavier, okay? They do coat these stainless steel with almost like a chrome or something like that, like a plating. I have compromised the coating on mine. Let me tell you what I did. Don't do this. I soaked mine in vinegar one time, just being lazy. That's how you have to clean those big expanded metal things. Soak them in vinegar if they ever get rusted. And I threw these in there just because they had a bunch of gunk on there. What it did, it ate the plating. You know, that acid ate down in there, so they're not bright and shiny anymore, okay? But if you take care of them, you just clean them like that. You just clean them with high heat and just, you know, use a wire brush. These will last you a long time. I say used to put them in the dishwasher all the time and didn't hurt them. I don't know if they suggest that or not. So I'm going to take these out of here. It's a 4-piece section. Perfect. Notice the size here, okay? Now let's talk about size. That's very important to me. You've got to have a long enough or a wide enough cooker. So this grate area where those grates set, those grates go cross diagonal this way at about 30 inches, okay? 29, 30 inches. Let's see what this setting here, you're looking at about 20 inches, or 19, 20 inches. I wouldn't have it any smaller, y'all. I put big pieces of meat on my cooker. That's one thing I love about having these cookers with a set and forget it. I want to be able to cook a big old hunk of meat, and I don't want to compromise that space, okay? So that's about as small as I want to go. They do make bigger ones out there, and that'd be fine too. But you know what? This is what I could afford. So let's go ahead and take this heat deflector. This is what I was talking about. This is what keeps the direct flame from the food. Now, here's the heat deflector. Show y'all what it looks like. Hopefully y'all can see. This is just one piece that comes out just like that, okay? Gosh dang, I can't tell if you can see this or not. So we'll take this heat deflector out, okay? Now, that heat deflector is flat. And you just scrape it off. You just scrape it off to clean it. You'll see some people put foil on these things and stuff like that. To me, that's wasting foil. You get one made out of good material, good thick heat deflector like that, you can just scrape it off with a putty knife or something like that. That's all I've done with it. I've got a spare one. I've never used it. Okay, so anyway, that one's flat, and you know, of course, the grill has it where it sits at a slight angle, so the grease will run down to one end of the grill where the grease drains out into a little bucket. They do make one, Yoder Smokers makes one that has a hole cut in it by the Firebox to where you could put your grill grates on top of there instead of just the normal grills, the stainless steel ones, and do your sears on over there. We'll talk more about that in a minute. All right, now, look down here. If y'all can see this. All right, this is below your, what's below your diffuser, okay? Over here, hopefully y'all can see, you've got your firebox. All right, this is a side firebox. Your pellets go down into here. The igniter's right here. The fan's up here, blows air. Your fire starts right there. Another thing you've got in here is you've got a baffle or your air. Let me show you. Hope you don't see this thing moving. This is your damper, okay? If you're super high heat searing, you move it all the way over there and you concentrate all your heat that way. If you want more evenly heat across the grill, you move it this way. That's a good system to have. Side firebox, sorry about that. Just dropped that heat diffuser, okay? So you kind of see what the inside of it looks like. That's a good setup, but let's talk more about the direct cooking, all right, or the high heat. If you wanted to push that heat deflector or the baffle all the way toward the firebox, and you want that small area, if you want to go high heat, by the way, anything over about 400 degrees, you have to take your heat deflector out of this grill, or use the one with the hole cut in, because that higher heat could warp the heat deflector. The thing that I took out, the flat metal piece. So what you want to do is you take that out. You have a bunch of fire coming up from the firebox. You put your grill grates on there, and you can grill whatever you want to. That's all great and all, but here's my idea. Okay, I take this is my point. This is the grilling area of these grills. There's a company out there, I think Camp Shelf makes it. It's called the Woodwind. It's one of the you know, it's median, I guess, I don't know, maybe, I don't even know what the price point is. Okay, I'm not going to go there. I know it's not as high end as a Yoder or Memphis or anything. But what they've done is they put a searing burner on the side over here, all right, where this shelf is. It's a gas, probably a infrared burner. That's fine. That's good. I like that concept. I do not like the idea that it's gas, though. I don't want two fuels. What I would like to see is somebody make a wood-burning burner over here on the side. Basically, they could take some technology. I know somebody's got a pellet-burning pizza oven, or all you'd have to do is put another box over there on the side, a firebox, and then how would do it? Bigger firebox, shallower, and then you'd have a heat diffuser on top of it with holes in it. You can do the same thing, though. I know that would cost a little bit extra, but that's just my idea. I think that would be great. Use that for high heat, and then worry about your big main grill for your low and slow. Now, what companies like Memphis has done is they have their heat deflector where you change out that part, instead of just like Yoder where you just take it all, the piece all the way out, there's a hole cut in the heat deflector. They have it to where you take that piece out, but you put in a perforated piece of heat deflector. Let you imagine this. There's a heat deflector over their firebox. Their firebox happens to be in the center. and it's got holes in it. And it disperses the flame, so you don't have just a big blowtorch coming up out, and it's just like a grill. And that's their series on. So that sounds like a really good idea too. And in thinking about this, I can understand for cost savings why you might want to do something like that instead of having the burner like I would like on the side. Imagine that would boost costs up quite a bit, because then you would have to have another, possibly another computer on board, another thermocoupler, stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just something I want to throw out there. Other people have talked about ash. Okay, with these cookers, your ash builds up down the bottom of this, the inside space. Okay, that's what happens. All right, what I do with mine is I'll always just take a shop vac and just vacuum it out. No big deal to me. Okay, you take your heat deflector out, you vacuum out the bottom of the shop vac. I do it after every cook, okay? You don't have to, but I like to do it after every cook. Now, what some people are saying, they would like to see a drawer. Some cookers have a drawer that pulls out on the bottom with, you can put disposable tin pans in there that catches your drippings, also catches your ash, and you can just throw that away. I think that's a great idea, okay? So a couple things we've hit on already. We've talked about an easy read display. We've talked about a pellet hopper with a dump box where you can dump your pellets out. We've talked about good materials. We've talked about possibly a way to take your ashes out or something like that on the drawer, maybe on the back or something like that. And the reason I'm talking about those things, a lot of those things have been important to what people have been telling me, okay? There's nothing wrong with this YS640. It's a great cooker. These are just different things that people have told me they like to see. And of course, I talked about, a good way to do the direct searing. I think probably the best cost-effective way is going to be that perforated heat deflector with in the middle or something like that, or to the side, and then when you put your grill grates on top of it or whatever, or your just standard grill, your grill grates. Every time I say grill grates, I keep thinking people are thinking about the brand name grill grates. I just mean your normal, grill grates that came with the grill, or whatever you want to use. That is, the main components of the grill. Some very important stuff that I had people talk to me about. Also, some accessory type stuff. Your ports. This cooker here has, let me show you, it has these little ports built in the side, or these where I can run a wire through there to put a, if I want to run my ThermoWorks smoke or something like that. But honestly, probes have come so far. In technology, they're bigger, they're fatter because they're more durable now. I think Yoder Smokers has done away with these. They actually have a bigger hole cut out with a sliding thing to where you can put fatter wires and stuff through there. Or again, you can make the cooker that has its own probes and stuff like that. Either way, I don't mind it. I don't mind using my ThermoWorks stuff or whatever product I'm using. Inkbird and all that stuff is good. So that's just something to think about. Now, one thing I do want to say that's very important to me on these cookers is being able to make them mobile. Okay, and this is another cost. Okay, let me stand you back here and show you what this Yoder smoker comes with, and this is what most of them are going to come with now. I hope y'all can look down, look down, look down. There's casters down there, if you'll see. All right, so this thing moves around on these casters. They're lockable. There's a little bigger wheel right there. And that is what it just basically comes with, okay? You're small, just a little cart. You can push it around the driveway, which is fine. I need something more heavy duty than that. I need an option. I'm not saying you got to put it on the grill because you would have to charge for it to bump your price up. We'll talk about that last. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. This is my big stick burner back here. Look how it sits on this cart with these big wheels. That is what you need. But I don't necessarily like those particular wheels that are on there. I'd like the golf cart style wheels, almost like look down here on my golf cart. I've seen a couple of them with these bigger, wheels like that with some tread. I just think that looks cool. In a way, I could hook it to the golf cart or hook it to the lawn tractor and pull it around. That would be a big option for me that I would like to have. All right, y'all, so let's kind of finish this video up here. I know it's getting long, but I just wanted to cover everything. Look, if I missed something, I'm sure I did, y'all please talk about it down in the description box. Send me a message, whatever you want to do. Email, southerncoastercooking@gmail.com. I'd be happy to answer your question, or try to, that way it's included in the comments of some of the manufacturers or whatever can see. If a manufacturer wants to contact me, southerncoastercooking@gmail.com. Best way to do it. Let's talk about price point last here. I know everybody kind of has a touchy subject. Speaking of price point first, I was talking about the wheel package and all that kind of stuff. This is how the Yoder's YS640 comes. They do offer a comp cart. I think it's about $500 more, where it's more like that big stick burner in there. Okay, so this does have that. Like I said, I just like there being an option for a more mobile unit. It's easier to load on trailers, pull it, and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the price point on these cookers. Like I said before, I've seen pellet cookers running from anywhere from $4.99, maybe even $3.99 somewhere. Depends on size and material, brand, all the way up to $5,000. I'm sure there's more expensive ones. Okay, you really have to look at what your market is and everything, and who you're trying to cater to when you build one of these things, and what about your brand. I mean, there's some brands out there, and I don't want to really mention, just poke at any brands, but let's say Traeger. Okay, they build some of the lower end pits. They build some up in the $1,000 range. They were one of the first ones to the market, but they've kind of got something for it, but it's not as heavily built and stuff like that. Don't mean to pick on Traeger. That was my first pellet cooker. It was a good little cooker. Okay, then you can step up. You've got people like RecTech. That's one I would really like to cook on, or visit someone that had one. I've heard some good stuff about it. Anyway, I say that's just what I've heard. I haven't personally experienced stuff like that. I think that's a little more higher end. I think that's up there with maybe the Camp Chefs and that Woodwind or something like that. Gosh, I mean, everybody's making one. Louisiana Pellet Grills. I think they make one that's a little bit more high end. There's a lot of cookers in that $799 to $1,100 price range. Okay, that seems to be a lot of them, but they aren't quite as heavy duty made. Okay, what the price range that I like, where I think you really start getting the quality cookers, is from about $1,500-$1,600 up to about $2,500, maybe the $3,000 range right there. And the reason that range is so big, a lot of that may be the same cooker. You can get the same cooker for about $1,600-$1,700 as you could for about $3,000, just depending on the options you're going to add to it, like that competition cart. Let's say you want to add that side burner somebody created, that could be something. Or that would depend on whether it's stainless steel or the heavy steel. I don't know which one's more expensive to make. But you're going for a high quality cooker, y'all. Made in the USA, that's another thing. You got a lot of these things made in China. I'm not going to comment on that. Think what you want to think about that. But that does bring your price down. Does it bring quality down? Okay. You get what you pay for. Okay. But anyway, and the U.S. made ones, you're going to spend, I would say, at least about $1,500 to enter the market with one of these cookers, like I was talking about building. $1,500 to probably about $2,500, depending on what you want to do. This cooker back behind me, okay, you can enter the market with it at about $1,300. What this one has aftermarket, that one come with it's got the stainless steel shells. You would have wire shells. You wouldn't have the heavy stainless steel shells. You wouldn't have, now I'm not sure, this one I bought mine, it didn't come with a second shelf. That was an option. And then the ports on the side for the thermometers, that was an option. Also, I added the grill grates, the actual grill grate, brand grill grates. I've got those inside where you can sear cook. That was an option. They've got even more options. So I think back in 2015 when I bought this one, I think I paid right at about $2,000. Of course, you had about $300 in shipping in there as well. So you got to think about that. So yeah, that puts it right in that price point that I was talking about. But one last feature, y'all, before I close out this film, just popped in my head here that everybody's talking about now, is Wi-Fi. A lot of these cookers now are going to Wi-Fi, and you have a nice little app on your phone where you can control the temperature, you can turn it on, you can turn it off, you can see what's going on. Yes, Wi-Fi seems to be huge in the pellet cooker world these days. A lot with the set it and forget it mentality. Okay, so I'm glad I just thought of that. Didn't leave that out. Yes, definitely a Wi-Fi I think is a big deal. You want to have Wi-Fi capability when you're building because you got to be dealing with a computer pretty much to have one of these cookers, so Wi-Fi would be a good idea. Again, y'all, I hope this helps. Another thing I would suggest, go to your local grill store. If you live here in the Mississippi area, the Jackson metro area, Madison, go to Grills Mississippi over there in Ridgeland. They're a Yoder dealer. They're Memphis Grills, Louisiana Grills. They've got grills anywhere from that $700 all the way if you want to spend $3,000 to $5,000. They've got the cookers. You can walk around there and see them. Grills of Mississippi or grillsofmississippi.com, I think you can look at them. But I wanted to kind of shoot the video in there. I just didn't get time this week to go, to kind of show you some of the different ones. But shoot, I want to go up there and look at that, put my hands on that Memphis again. That thing's built like a battleship, all stainless steel. But anyway, I love my Yoder. Don't get me wrong. I'm just, you always, no matter what you get, it's just like a boat. I've heard people say that there's always going to be someone with a bigger boat, or you're always wondering how other stuff is, and it's my hobby is grilling and cooking and stuff like that. So I'm always wanting to try new things. So anyway, thank y'all so much. I hope that helps. Don't forget my email address, southerncoastcooking@gmail.com. If you got some questions, or in the description box down there. Thank y'all so much. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good day. Appreciate y'all watching.